Hi, I'm Cody, software engineer here in San Francisco, and in this video series we're recreating Lovable using LangGraph. In the last video we implemented a prompt using LangSmith prompt library that helped ground our large language model in the context of the application that we're building. Basically just telling it that it is a chatbot that builds full HTML pages, that it takes the user's message to continue to build the HTML page, and we also ground it in the existing HTML code and document so that it understands the context of the page that the user is looking at. Without this, the large language model just has a lot of errors and it pretty much hallucinates. And so it's really important to ground your agents with very good system prompts that has the right context of the application and the information that it needs to make smart choices. Using the LangSmith prompt library is a very good choice because it gives you a lot of low-level control over how you invoke these prompts. So we had pulled in the prompt that's hosted in LangSmith, and then you're able to basically format it with the variables from the application. So we're pulling the existing HTML content out by just reading the page.html file from our file system, and then the user message just gets passed along from the actual chatbot interface. Another thing in the last video is we were looking at the prompt output in our fast API logs, and that gets pretty overwhelming pretty quick. So in this video, we're actually going to just take a step back. We're going to set up project tracing in LangSmith so that rather than having to look at our prompts and the input and the output and the variables and all of that stuff in the logs right here, we're going to be able to look at it within LangSmith, and I'll show you how LangSmith breaks it down into a step-by-step process where you can really inspect and view what the large language model is doing in very close scrutiny. We'll also just have fun playing around with where we're currently at with our Lovable clone. It's a really basic implementation. It's basically just an HTML page and a wrapper for the large language model to write HTML. But it's a kind of a close version of Lovable, and it's just the front end. There's no back end, there's no Supabase, anything like that, nothing too crazy. But you can get pretty far about with the projects that you're building just doing something simple like this. This project is really more of just an educational thing and kind of a side project for me to just kind of educate people and just share kind of the exciting things that's happening in the world of large language models and building agents and all that good stuff. It's really fun using large language models to build this new type of software that's starting to come out. Okay, well, let's jump right into it then. So let's open up LangSmith, and we're actually going to go to our tracing projects here. We're going to click on New Project, and from here we're going to actually make sure that you have an API key generator. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. So that's all set up in your actual .env file, and then that's actually all you have to do. So now with that, I'm just going to go ahead and restart the project here. Make sure that those environment variables get pulled in properly. Let's go back to our chatbot here. Let's just refresh this, make sure it's all loaded up and good. And let's say, please turn this entire page into dark mode. Okay, you see it's printing this out. Now, in the meantime, I'm actually going to open up LangSmith. So open up LangSmith, let's go to Home. Let's go to Tracing Projects. And you see now we have our LlamaBot open source. Let's go and click on this. And what's cool is now you'll see all of the traces as the large language model is going through its kind of workflow. So for example, you can see the chat prompt template. And what that is when we have this prompt equals client.pull prompt, then it actually, in this invocation, this is a very crucial step when you're trying to test and debug these agent kind of workflows and this large language model workflows, because you can see at this specific point in time when you ran this code, it will tell you the exact variables that got inserted into the prompt, which is super important when you're debugging. Otherwise, you're having to go through your server logs or your local development logs and try to find those exact things, and that can get very, very confusing very quickly, especially when you're going to have, we're going to have, as we continue to build this out through the video series, we're going to have, 5 prompts, 10 prompts all chained together, and then they might even loop back, right? And so you can have some agent runs that are really complicated where it might run, 50 different prompts or even more. And if you don't have this type of tooling in place, imagine trying to look through 50 different prompts that are the same, except they all have very slightly different variable, invocations for the prompts. It becomes a nightmare. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on LangGraph, is because they have seen these problems, and they've already built a tool that solves all those problems. So the other thing, let's go and look at the actual LLM invocation here. And you see in here, let's just come down here. It gives you the input and it gives you the output. And another really powerful thing about LangSmith long-term is that as you run these prompts and you run the app in development, you can actually save these as a data set, and then you can essentially execute these against your existing prompts. And you can set up what are called LLM prompt evals. And these are essentially the unit tests of LLM prompts. And they're very important because LLMs can be very inconsistent. And especially as you swap out different model providers, you know, maybe one day you want to use OpenAI, maybe in the future you want to use some new model like DeepSeek or Claude. It's really important that you have these eval tests so that you can kind of make sure that you can, you know, make changes in your in the underlying LLM model that's powering your app, and it won't break things. And also, as new models come out, you know, even different checkpoints of training models, the LLM's behavior can change very subtly, and it can actually introduce errors and bugs and hallucinations. And so by having these data sets that you can kind of build very incrementally and naturally as you're developing, it just becomes a really powerful asset to make sure that you have a stable agent that is consistent, repeatable, etc. Okay, let's go ahead and go back and actually see the page change. Let's refresh, and here you go. Now we're in dark mode. Let's go ahead and say, please insert a game of Snake, of arcade game Snake, in the within this page, and let us use arrow keys to control it. Now you can kind of see that we're getting to something that's a little bit closer to what resembles Lovable. You know, you have an existing kind of project, you send in a chat message, it sends it to an agent, and then the agent, you know, writes the changes, and then you can basically, you know, view the updated changes in real time. It's just a much shorter iteration loop, and you actually don't have to be a programmer to start to build, you know, basic types of software. All right, I'm going to pause this and let's see what the LLM comes up with. One more cool thing is you can actually look in live and see, like right here, we can see that this is spinning in real time. So it gives you that real time kind of streaming in terms of, it tells you the latency, 38 seconds. Oh, it looks like it did finish here. So let's go back to our project now. Okay, and it responded. Let's go ahead and refresh the page. Let's look through. Oh, there it is. Play Snake right there. Oh, look, and it works perfectly. All right, that's looking good. Okay, so in the next video, we will go over a couple of polishing steps that we should do just to make this a little bit better. A couple of quick thoughts is this still isn't quite like Lovable. Like, you can't like talk to this chatbot here and like ask it a question, right? Like if you were to say, you know, how do I use we're calling this open source version, we're calling this LlamaBot. How do I use LlamaBot to change, you know, to change the page, right? It's not going to be able to answer a question like that. It's not smart enough to. Right now, all it does is, you know, it sends it directly in through here, and like, you know, it basically, you know, sends a user message and sends the existing HTML content, and it gives it instructions that you are a chatbot that builds full HTML pages. So it just doesn't make sense. It's not smart enough to be able to do that. So some of the things that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to start adding a little bit more complex chaining of prompts, and we're going to have to insert decision points where we'll let the large language model actually make decisions as to what it should do and how it should respond to certain user messages. We'll add a couple of other just kind of cleanup steps, like, you know, having it automatically refresh the page when it does a code change. Let's see what it did here. See right here, this is a good example. It doesn't, oh, and in fact, it kind of inserted its response into the HTML page. So in the next video, we're just going to do a couple cleanup steps like that, maybe play around with it a little bit more. And yeah, we'll see how far we can go with this. Thanks.